I will ask the First Minister to respond to anything she picked up that she feels she is able to respond to.
Okay. Firstly, who wins the Scottish election is a matter for the Scottish people, nobody else. Secondly, I sit here in front of this committee today, as is my duty. You know, we've sat here for many hours. I've tried to answer all of the questions as fully as I can. But, you know, in advance of my evidence today, yesterday, I read comments from others in the Parliament that literally said it didn't matter what I said today because they had decided I was guilty. So forgive me if I think there are comments around due process and proper process that I could perhaps make in return. But I just say that and I will stop there. Let me just take a few points. The civil service made very serious mistakes here, and you know, we will see what comes out of this committee's recommendations and the internal process that is underway, and if there are decisions that need to be taken as a result of that, they will be taken. I am not defending the mistakes that were made, but the civil service in Scotland acts properly and impartially at all time, and I'm going to say this very bluntly. I am privileged to have an impartial, independent civil service serving this government. And if the people of Scotland on May the 6th take a decision to have another government, that civil service will serve the new government just as professionally as and impartially as it does this one. And I think the accusations that have been made about the lack of independence or impartiality of the civil service are deeply unfair and, more importantly, unfounded, notwithstanding mistakes that are made in any organisation at times. Similarly with the Crown. The Crown acts independently of government. The Crown has, in respect of evidence shared in a criminal trial that was not disclosed, not handed over, has been operating within the law. The law passed by this Parliament that said that information shared in a criminal trial could not be. That was an absolute. There weren't exemptions, but this committee has had and has exercised the right to use Scotland Act powers to get that information. Again, I would suggest that is a system working, not a system not working. And I also think the attacks that have been made on the independence of our criminal justice system and the Crown Office are also unfair and deeply unfounded. In terms of issues around contempt of court order, that is an order that was put in place by Lady Dorian. That order has to be abided by and interpreted, and you know, the Crown Office have a duty there to uphold the law. There are issues that have been raised in the course of this, and this Parliament in the next session may well want to look at this, about whether there should be greater privilege and immunity for this Parliament in terms of contempt of court, more akin to Westminster. I think that is a perfectly legitimate issue. But anybody who's suggesting that any of these things have happened in a way that is untoward, I think is wrong. These are examples of the law operating, which takes me, I suppose, to my final point in answer to Margaret Mitchell here. I know what Alex Salmond has said. I know what version of this Alex Salmond wants people to believe. And I know why, because I suppose when, well, I know why. But what happened here with Alex Salmond is no different to what would have happened with any individual. People came forward with complaints, first to the Scottish Government, then to the police. They did so of their own free will. And I've said before, you know, these people, I don't know the identities of every single one of them. The police investigated those independently, as they would have done regardless of who these complaints had been about. The Crown Office, as it does every day, assesses the evidence and decided there was a case to answer, and then a court and a jury did its job. There have been mistakes made in this, and I think there is a lot of learning to be done, not partly because of the narrative around this, but I would put it to people that when it's seen in the terms of what actually happened, this is an example of the institutions of the country, the independent institutions of the country doing their job. And actually, out of this comes the message that no matter how powerful you are or were, no matter your status or connections, if you are accused of serious offences, then they will be investigated and you will have the chance to defend yourself in court. And that is how these things should work. Mistakes have been made by government and that is undeniable. But the idea that because somebody doesn't like what happened over the past couple of years, we allow this attack to be made on the very fundamentals of our democracy, I just find deeply distressing, deeply unfair. And actually, whatever you think about me, the SNP, the Scottish Government, I think deeply injurious to the health and well-being of our democracy. And I really think all of us should think long and hard about it.
No. First Minister, can I take that? You see these as your closing remarks?
I think I probably should take those as my closing remarks.
Yes. Can I thank you then for your evidence today, for spending so long with this committee? Thank you very much.